What's up, everybody? Welcome to Shoot the Gap, the IDP Fantasy Football podcast here at Fantasy in Frames. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards. With me, I got my, as Jay and Silent Bob would say, my heterosexual life mate friend in the IDP circles, Justin Taylor, a.k.a. JT. Is that too old of a reference for people nowadays, JT? Jay and Silent Bob?
I don't think so for me, but it probably is for other people. I just told you right before we came on the show that if I yell in the middle of the show, it's because the Red Wings just won in overtime with Source, and they scored right away. Right away in the overtime, Red Wings get the victory. And you didn't get a chance to listen to our Around the Ice podcast just before this. Me and Aaron Tomatich talked about this Wings game, just an unreal shot from Dylan Larkin. Red Wings win. So now I can focus on IDP now that the Red Wings game is over.
Well, dude, you're pulling double duty. And for those who, I don't know if you all have heard this out there, but the fantasy football season is wrapping up for many of us this week. But we do here at Fantasy and Frames do hockey. We cover things from fantasy hockey to NHL betting over at FIF Hockey, both on Twitter/X and over on their YouTube channel at FIF Hockey. Give us a subscribe and follow over there. Where Aaron, Brian, aka Toast, and JT, they give you weekly advice every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. They love talking shop. They're a great group of guys who just are very passionate about the NHL and hockey in general. They can give you a lot of good betting tips as well as some fantasy hockey advice. And plus, they're just good conversationalists. I know they like to bust my balls about our fantasy league that we're in together, the Around the Ice podcast listener league, which, let me tell you, I had a good streak going for a few weeks, and then I lost to Toast badly, and I lost to somebody this week very badly. So I got to start working that waiver wire a little bit more aggressively going forward.
I'm in a little bit of a tear in that league lately here, so I'm coming back, but I have to tell you, it's not looking pretty for me in our home league. My team has gone on a scoring drought like no other. I am like second to last in the league in scoring right now. The last 2 weeks, my team has absolutely got destroyed. I can't get any point. I have injuries galore. I got a full IR right now in our home league for hockey. So it's been brutal, but I'm at least I beat Toast and I beat Aaron the last 2 weeks in listeners league. So I'll take the little victories.
There you go. We got Aiden in the chat here with a couple groundbreaking, earth-shattering comments questions. Referring to Jay and Silent Bob.
I'm going to get you a list of movies that you need to go back and watch. You cannot be part of the family unless you have gone back and watched these and get the movie. I'm usually up to date on everything, Jorge, and we've talked about this before. The one movie I was completely out on and then I had no reference and I felt like I was just lost out in the woods by myself was The Other Guys. You were like, how do you not know that? I was like, somehow that one just missed me.
It missed me too.
I don't know how I never saw it. You guys referenced a couple times. I went back. Now I've watched it like 10 times. I've made my girlfriend watch it with me a couple times. Now I get all the jokes. Now it's hilarious. I'm like, oh, can't believe I missed that golden movie, comedy genius. But I'm going to give Aiden some old 90s, 2000 movies he's going to have to go back and watch. I've been on a tear lately of going back and watching old movies, and it's been phenomenal. I have to tell you, sometimes you go back and watch those old movies, and you're like, man, I really like that when I was a kid, or I really like that when I was in college, but it's pretty stupid. A lot of these movies, I'm like, okay, that might be dumb, but it's hilarious. So I have been on a 90s, early 2000s movie tear lately. My girlfriend will wake up in the middle of the night. She's like, what are you watching? I'm like laughing in bed. She's like, what are you watching? And it's like another like 90s comedy movie that I'm rewatching for the first time in 5 or 10 years.
First of all, I love that. And I love everybody else who has not seen The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. Y'all need to see this movie ASAP. I didn't see it when it was in theaters. An ex-girlfriend of mine was like, you need to watch this back in the day. And because she had a Subaru station wagon, a Subaru Forester rather, and that's a reference.
Dirty Mike Boys.
Yeah, my boss had a red Prius, and he understood the reference. So, these are things just in and of themselves. JT gets, and he automatically is losing it because they're that funny. Go watch it. It's on Netflix, I believe. Still, it is definitely worth
It's
owning and
hilarious.
watching. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
good.
if you like Will Ferrell and like old school and other movies, you're gonna freaking love this. He's hilarious. Mark Wahlberg's hilarious. I actually laugh every time in our IDP Fantasy and Frames League when I
Yeah.
look and I see Drew's team and he's Dirty Mike and the boys. It makes me giggle. It probably shouldn't, but it makes me giggle every
No, it
time
does.
I'm scrolling through the standings and I see him and I see that name. It makes me laugh.
It is so good. But yeah, Aiden, we'll get you a list here. He goes on to say, any rants tonight? So we got a little bit crazy on the Waiver Wire Watch Party show for Week 17 last night, JT. With Stacey Perez, Kyle, and Aiden, myself. Everybody, it's in podcast form, the Waiver Wire Watch Party from Fantasy and Frames. Even, waivers clear, whatever. It was a very entertaining show. The first hour of it, pure comedic gold. It was awesome. Stacy, who is a diehard Packers fan, went on a epic rant about just how much she hates the Chicago Bears. So if that tickles your fancy, that'll do. But no, I don't think we're gonna get any rants, but definitely some movie references tonight, Aiden. To which he goes on and says, if it's Marvel or Star Wars, I'm an expert. We'll see. I too, I'm an expert. But anyhow. Jamie's in the chat. Happy Festivus. Happy Festivus to you. For those out there, if you have some IDP grievances, we're going to hear about it. Let us hear about it. Let us know which IDPs have been causing you chaos, all season long, and which ones have been helping you out and all that jazz.
Jamie also coming through here. Super Troopers 3 coming out in August. I did not know this. I love Super Troopers. I put that one on the other night. My girlfriend's like, "You're doing it." I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
That one
holds
of the
up,
greatest opening scenes of all time. I don't know if you ever heard the story though. They filmed that initial scene at the beginning with no movie. That they filmed just that scene to try to get the movie sold so they could make the whole movie. They won them over and got the movie made just on that opening scene, which is still hysterical. And if you're ever going to sell a movie on the opening scene, that's probably the one to do it because it's absolutely hysterical.
Littering and. I'm not going to say, folks, I'm not going to sit here and condone doing things you shouldn't do in your personal lives before you watch this movie. But if you did, it makes the view.
If you're in a state where it's legal.
If you're in a state where it's legal, you want it. You want it.
A little chocolate, maybe a little.
Yeah, a little gummy bear.
You do it, and maybe, you will laugh.
I'm not advocating doing this. I'm just saying if you happen to have done this, up to you. No pressure. It makes it that much better. So we got Roscoe, the Roscoe 848 in the chat. Good evening, gents, and happy holidays. Good evening, and happy holidays to you as well. We got Summer back in the chat. Welcome back, Summer. What's up, fellas? Made it to the fantasy. Made it to the fantasy Super Bowl. That's what's up. Need advice on. Well, first of all, congratulations. She says she needs advice on choosing 2 linebackers and 1 DB between the following: Malachi Moore, Nick Emenwari, Jordan Battle, Derwin James, and then for linebackers, Cody Simon, Edrin Cooper, Barrett Carter, Jack Gibbons, Shamar James, or Trenton Simpson. Let's go through the DB ones because there's one to me that just jumps out immediately. Ironically, JT and I were both going to be talking about a couple of these players, so we'll avoid the ones we're not. Well, no, let's just get into it. For me, it would have been Emenwari if he didn't get injured on Thursday Night Football, which was kind of rough to see. There we saw Jordan Love kind of take more of a role in that defense when Emenwari went out. But for me, it's Malachi Moore for the Jets. This guy plays the majority of box snaps. This guy is definitely somebody who we'll be talking about later and plays and fades. But he's definitely, for me, I believe he's in the top 15 in DBs and fantasy points per game using Fantasy Pro scoring. So whatever scoring you're using, just, if it's more points per a tackle, obviously things are going to go for you. So Malachi Moore for me. How about you, JT?
Yeah, Malachi Moore has been playing phenomenal lately, and then you got to figure this matchup. He's going to be on the field a decent amount. I really like him. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later in the show, but one of my sneaky plays I like this week is Jordan Battle. So I'm probably going more here as my 1DB first, but Battle would be probably be my 1B to more being my 1A. And then if we're going linebackers, this is an interesting group here. Oh, it's tough because like we're at that point of the year where like who's out of it, who's nicked up but still in it, so they're going to play. Who's nicked up and like maybe we'll sit him because like we're already going to miss playoffs. So you got to kind of pick and choose here a little bit at the end here. I'm going Edgerrin Cooper here just because the Packers are still way in it. So I think I'm going Cooper. My other guy, I'm leaning Barrett Carter. But how do you feel about this, Jorge? Because like Gibbons has been so up and down, whether he starts or doesn't play at all. He's killing me. Same thing with Ty Simpson. He's another guy. Injury has to get him on the field. So I'm probably going Cooper and Carter. But what do you think there?
So I'm definitely on board Cooper. You know, generally something that's definitely overlooked by fantasy football managers, and I think we're all guilty of it, is we tend to look at matchup and look at who's been giving up this and who's been giving up that, which is important information. But at the end of the day, you have to think about like, and you were kind of alluding to it too, JT, is like how competitive are these games going to be? Who are these teams that like need to win and need to like ball out? And whether it's on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball, playoff seeding, structuring, if the Packers, for example, the Detroit Lions players, like they need to win out and they need the Packers to lose. So those guys are going to be competing. So anybody who's playing for them, I'm kind of bumping up in rankings, right? But for me, it's Cooper. And again, Gibbons, he had a pretty good week last week. I wrote about him in the waiver wire article that's over at fantasyandframes.com. He'd probably be my second one if Robert Spillane is out again, and that's only what we saw. We've only seen good production from Gibbons when Spillane has been out. So we need to see what's going on with that. So I'm going to go with Cooper. So we definitely agree on Cooper, but we differ between Carter and Gibbons for the second LB, but definitely Malachi Moore, Jordan.
If you do not have time to go back and check it, like you're going to get into the game day, then I'm probably playing Carter. If you're worried about it, if you're like, oh, I'm only in one or two championships, like I can go out and like I can go up to game time. I like Gibbons if there's no Spillane. But if Spillane plays, obviously that hurts Gibbons. Also, this is a perfect summer. Great question. We had another question before the show kicked off from Roscoe. He asked, and we just talked about both of them, can I trust Edgerrin Cooper this week, and are you rolling more? I think we're in on both those guys, right, Jorge?
Yeah. You look at the past 3 weeks, Edgerrin Cooper, he was the linebacker 16 in points per game with a 14 solo tackle to 8 assisted tackle. Split there. You look at, there aren't any like stats that kind of like inflate his numbers, like sacks, for example. Like sacks like touchdowns, you can't chase from week to week. You can chase opportunities, and ultimately what the productivity is, but you can't just rely solely on a week to week basis. Like I'm playing this player because they get a lot of touchdowns. Like, well, what happens if they don't get a lot of touchdowns? Is that going to tank their value? You don't see that with Edgerrin Cooper. You see a solid tackle for there. So you're definitely with Cooper. And again, with Malachi Moore, I picked up Malachi Moore. I am all about Malachi Moore as a defensive back this week.
All right, we got another one from Roscoe here. He jumped in. He says, Carter, Diablo, or Henley, choose one.
So Diablo, using Fantasy Pro scoring, he had like 10.5 points last week. He's been kind of like meh. He's been like, he is the definition of a floor play. But for me, I would have to go, and again, I'll talk about him a little bit later. Diane Henley, Denzel Perryman, which we'll get into news and notes, got suspended today for the final 2 games of the season, which means even though you were seeing already a big snap percentage coming from Diane Henley, the as much as I like Troy Dye and he filled in admirably, we talk about vacated targets for receiving options on offense. Well, we're talking about vacated tackle opportunities that Perryman is going to be siphoning over to Diane Henley. So I like Henley this week. It also depends on like what we're talking about here. Are you saying like one of these three options as like your top LB option, or like an LB2 or a flex? Because that also can vary the decision. But for me, out of the three, I like Henley the most.
I think I agree with you on Henley. They got to play him. They're just like they're in desperation mode, and the Chargers are in this mix. So they got to have guys out there playing. So I would lean Henley in this group personally.
Yeah.
Even though it sucks he's not been great this year, he was decent last week, and he should, at this point with no Perryman, he should be getting near 100% of snaps this next week.
Okay, so he put in the chat, Roscoe 848, that he is his LB3. He's my LB3 in my home league championship game. So we're on the same page there. But the Roscoe 848 in summer, hopefully that helped you out. We are going to be doing a what have we learned in IDP from 2025 episode. It'll also be the episode where we tally the sack lunch totals, and the person with the lowest total gets a pie in the face. Please come on those shows. Like seriously, like come into the chat. Let us know how your seasons ended. We really want to get some feedback. Like, did we help you? Is there something we can improve upon? So on and so forth. But we really enjoy all you all being regulars, and for the new people tuning in this week, perfect timing because this is when championships are on the line, right? So welcome to the show. All right, we got Bob Hope 123. JT, if you'll take care of that question on offense in the chat. Now, here's the thing, folks. We're normally on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, followed by Fourth and Frames, which is our offense/DST show that comes on at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Obviously, tomorrow is for Christmas Eve. So we were going to do both of our shows tonight, but there's some like scheduling issues and whatnot. So the Fourth and Frames crew, very graciously and thoughtfully, they're going to be doing their show this week, but they're going to be doing it on Christmas Eve tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, answering all of your start and sit questions, giving you their smash and pass plays for the week. So for those of you, after the kids go to sleep, or whatever, you're done wrapping presents and it's 10 o'clock at night and you got the fantasy football itch and you got some questions for championship week, I'll be hosting the show. I know Drew Scott, Rhett Manuel, Aiden Weingartner will be there. A lot of our Kyle Ziegler will be there. A lot of the core people here who do that show will all be there with you, celebrating Christmas Eve and bringing you into Christmas Day. Hopefully, I think we'll go in enough rants. We'll stretch it out a little bit farther. But we're not giving up on you just because it's the holidays. We know it's tricky. Plus, with like all the games on Christmas Day and then all the games this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, like we're not leaving you in the lurch. We got here with you from the beginning. We're going to be here with you to the very end. So, to look forward to that tomorrow night from the Fourth and Frames crew. But anywho, JT, let's get into some news and notes. Before we, Summer says, appreciate you both so much. Thank you. That really, honestly, let me look like behind the curtains here. All of us, we put in a lot of work at Fantasy and Frames. Like it literally, we enjoy what we do, but to keep getting better and to prep and to make sure that we're giving you all the best advice we can based off of all the research we do, it's work. It's literally like a second job. And for many of us, we have our primary gigs during the day and at night, and we're able to squeeze this in here. And we really do a lot of work to make sure that you're getting the best out there for us. So when we hear stuff like that, like you appreciate, like that means the world to all of us. And so thank you very much. That is a gift, Summer, that comment you made right there. So we really appreciate you. But she also has one more question here. Needs two out of the following: Allen, Thule, Latu, Franklin Myers versus a backup QB, or Austin Booker. Man, Summer, man, you are, lady, you are taking players that I'm going to be talking about.
She always to be Jorge. I have to say this. I feel like every week she like is in our brains because every time she asks us a question on like a start this guy or that guy, it's someone we already have queued up to talk about
Yeah.
later in the show. So every time she asks these early questions, I'm like, oh, I want to answer your question right away, but I'm like, we're going to talk about these guys in a little bit. I'm like, dang it. So, but still answer them early. But man, I feel like she's always had great questions all year, and they're always guys that we are like fully invested in that we're going to talk about every episode.
Yeah. So like, I'll tell you right now, the first one is Thule. That one goes hands down. This guy is an elite edge rusher. He's, no Bosa this year. He stepped into that starting role and just has been tearing it up. So he is. I'm going to save the second person though for later on in the show because I'm not trying to give away all the secrets. I will say I also wrote about him in our final IDP waiver wire article at Fantasy and Frames, which is live. Go over to fantasyandframes.com for that. But how about you? Who's one that you are?
I have to tell you, I think Thule's my biggest hit this year. I was all over Thule preseason. I was taking him everywhere. I was telling everybody he was underrated all year. I was like, this guy is an absolute beast. He's young, been in the league a couple years. He's going to get finally a full-time role. I love Thule. It's hard not to play him. I am going to talk about Zach Allen here a little bit later in the show. Allen is I got a couple guys I like. I'm probably leaning Thule here. He's just been on such a tear. He's been so good. It's hard not to play him. I mean, I think he's up to 13 sacks on the year. He's been phenomenal. So if you've been riding him all year, it's tough to take him out of the lineup this week.
Yeah, 100% agree. And folks, we also have our plays and fades and IDP plays and fades articles. What do you call it? And those normally come out on Thursdays, but obviously we want to get that to you. So we're going to be getting those out to you tomorrow afternoon, evening. We got the Houston Texans fan in the chat. We got Brandon up in here. Thule gets no tackles or sacks this week. Bah, humbug. Okay, we got Scrooge in the chat here. Love it.
I know. I told him, I was like, don't put that bad juju out there in the universe. Come on, Brandon. Don't do that to us.
That's funny. But anyhow, getting to some news and notes now. And again, folks, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in there and we'll pull them up on screen. So JT, this kind of hits close to you as the Steelers fan. So Nick Herbig out last week. TJ Watt out last week. We saw the very first meaningful appearance of Jack Sawyer, seeing some playing time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, you'd have to be like rolling like five defensive linemen deep in a starting league before you would think about Jack Sawyer in week 17, right? I mean, like the opportunity was there, but from, I don't think we need to talk about it from like, is he a start? Like, no, you're not starting Jack Sawyer, right?
I like Jack Sawyer. I actually thought it was a very good pick by the Steelers when they took him in the draft. Cause I was like, man, this is like a Nick Herbig clone, like a guy you can like really talk into the position. He was a captain on a national championship team that always says something. He played pretty well last week. Am I like rushing him in to my starting lineup thinking he's basically TJ Watt or Nick Herbig?
Right.
I don't think so. I do like him. I have him as a stash on some big IDP teams with huge rosters. I've got him as a stash on my taxi squad. So if you are still in some leagues where you can actually pick up guys and stash them, I know some leagues, like if you don't have a rookie on your lineup right when the season starts, you can't move him to taxi. He's a guy, though, I do like because as these injuries pile up and things happen, he's a guy who can get out there. Right now, I just can't trust him in a championship game. Right. If I put him and he scored me a 0, I would feel terrible. So I do like him for the future. I do think he has some upside, but I would not be playing him this week, even if Herbig and TJ are both out again.
100%. Philip V55. Philip, you have been so generous to here at Fantasy and Frames with all your donations this season. Hopefully we are returning the favor and helping you out, getting some victories and having fun joining us on each of our shows. Really, seriously, the holiday spirit. Thank you so much for the donation. Really appreciate that. Larosco 848 is back here. Jihad Campbell, assuming Dean is out, or Henley as LB3. So Campbell, that's the thing, right? Like, he was the LB2 next to Zach Vaughn, but he also has been utilized as an edge rusher as well, which is something that he also did when he played in college. So the question here is now, do you run the risk of him siphoning away off-ball tackle numbers to him being an edge rusher this week? I don't know. I'm still sticking with Henley because I know his role is clearly defined as off-ball linebacker. Campbell, I don't know if they're going to still utilize him as an edge rusher or not, if he's going to be in that, instead for that uncertainty. In that case, I'm playing it safe. So I'd stick with Henley still.
I agree with you. I actually don't think Campbell's a bad start this week, but if it was between those two guys, I'm probably leaning Henley just in the fact that I know Henley's probably going to see every snap for the Chargers, where Campbell's like, it could be situational depending on what happens. He could come out, like you said, he could be playing the edge. They could be playing a lot of nickel dime, or maybe he's not out there. So I would lean a little more Henley just on the snap count alone. Though I do, if you're in a situation where you had Dean and Campbell backing him up and you're like, oh, I don't have another good linebacker to play, I could see putting Campbell in my lineup this week.
As I'm scrolling back up here, what do you call it? Brandon in the chat, who would have thought shoving needles deep into your chest was a bad idea? I mean, that's a very, but you figure like
not good.
It's not good. It's not good, but like you figure like a team facility, right? That this would be kind of not the norm, but I mean, talk to Tyrod Taylor, who suffered the same kind of situation there when he was the quarterback for the Chargers before Justin Herbert took over. So
the problem is like people are just humans, even if they're doctors. Like people make mistakes. People F up. Who knows? Maybe his mom, issue with mom. Maybe his wife's mad at him. People have stuff going on, and like you make a mistake because you're not intentionally doing something, but you're like, oh, my mind is not totally there. These things happen, so it does happen. Also, in our news and notes, we're going through news and notes. A great one is we've got people all over it tonight. Roscoe says, thoughts on Taylor Demerson if Jalen Thompson is out again. He was in our news and notes as someone to bring up because he did play last week without Jalen Thompson, 11 tackles. And I will tell you, Adrian Taylor Demerson coming out last year was one of my favorite rookie safeties. He got drafted late. I thought he went 2 rounds too late, to be honest with you. And the only reason I didn't like him more was because he was stuck behind 2 studs at safety. I actually think Taylor Demerson is really good. So if he gets full-time snaps with Jalen Thompson out, I actually think he's playable. Now, if Thompson says he's going to go, now you're limited on snap count. But, man, I actually think Taylor Demerson is a guy very underrated in the IDP circles. I still think
when you look at the snap share from last week, he was actually leading all of the Cardinals safeties in total defensive snap share. Played 40% of his snaps on the box, 54.7 at deep safety. I'm even more intrigued that we saw Budda Baker exit the game with an injury, and so for some reason Budda Baker can't play. I would expect that box number, snap percentage number, to go up more for Demerson. So this is one of those situations where it's like, again, what are we talking about? DB1, DB2, DB3 on your roster, and then paying attention to the injury reports on Friday when they come in. And if Jalen Thompson and or Budda Baker are out, yeah.
I mean, you got to consider. But you got to consider playing him. The other thing that we got to realize in this Arizona defense, it's not something that a lot of people are going to notice. But Garrett Williams went out with an Achilles injury. One of my former Syracuse guys that I like, he fell in the draft because of an injury his senior year at Syracuse. But that's a big loss. He's a slot guy. He played a lot of the slot snaps for them. He's out. That's a big difference too. So even if the safeties, it's going to be interesting because even if say Buddha or Thompson plays, without Williams in the lineup, who do they move there? Do they move Demerson there, Taylor Demerson there? I could see them possibly playing him. Jaden Davis took over the slot snaps last week when Williams went out. But if there are injuries all over this secondary, it could get real interesting for Arizona.
I love that. Can you roll with the next question that was asked here? We've got a edge rusher, defensive lineman question next.
Let me pull that one up. I had it marked, and now I'm losing it in my mix. Of course, I feel like we're oh, there you go. You got it. There we go. So we got there you go. Go ahead.
No. You please. I'm gonna.
Jalen Walker. We got Latu, Highsmith, or Hunter. He needs 2. Roscoe needs 2 here at DN this week. Oh, it's always hard to sit Highsmith, but man, when he doesn't have the pressure from the other side, he gets a lot more attention, which makes him a little harder to sit. Latu, I'm not going to get into it right this second, but we're going to get into it at the end of the show about I love Latu, and he got a sack that absolutely cost me in the Fantasy and Frames League that I've been in first place all year, knocked me out of the finals. Hunter and Walker. Walker's been really good lately for Atlanta, the rookie. He's been really good. And Daniil Hunter, we know what he can do. Even when he's, kind of on a lull, he's still really good. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud, so it's tough not to play him as well. Looking at the matchups this week, for me, the Browns give up a lot of sacks. They give up a lot of sacks. I would have a hard time believing that Highsmith or Benton or Hayward, somebody, at least one guy doesn't get home in this one. I think it's probably a decent start to go Highsmith here against the Browns. Latu against the Jags. The Jags have been much better as far as the O-line is concerned of late. Trevor Lawrence is using his legs. He's moving around a ton. Falcons, real tough matchup with the Rams. That's the only thing that hurts me with Walker. I'm probably, Jorge, I don't know how you feel about this. Chargers tackles are beat up. Herbert's been great throwing the ball, but they're still beat up. He's still taking a ton of heat. I'm probably just off these guys. If I'm going to championship game, I want to go to the guys that have got me there before, who've done it. I'm probably going Highsmith, Hunter, and just going on the reliable vets on 2 pretty good matchups, as opposed to swinging for the fences with Walker and Latu. What do you think?
So I'm with you first of all. We look at Highsmith. He had one of the things with Highsmith that, we think of TJ Watt as like the pass rushing guy who applies a lot of pressures. Well, Alex Highsmith's role is not exactly the same thing as TJ Watt. Like, he's more of a, the run defending, protecting edge rusher, outside linebacker, excuse me. So even if he didn't get a sack, there's always the potential for tackle upside. Daniil Hunter, for me, is a must start here. Going against the Texans, one of the things I like to look at is I look at quarterbacks, actually. I look at some of their metrics and look at how they perform when they're under pressure. And so PFF has this really cool stat, which is called pressure to sack percentage, where it basically talks about like when they are, what percentage of drop back passes when they're under pressure do they actually take a sack? And Justin Herbert, since week 14, is 9th in pressure to sack percentage. And when you talk about the number of sacks he's taken since week 14, he has taken 11, which is right behind Brady Cook of the Jets. So, definitely this is a big week for Daniil Hunter. And then you look at pressures since week 14. Will Anderson, 18, 1 sack. Daniil Hunter, 17, 2 sacks. I mean, these guys are both in line for a good day. So yeah, that's where I'm. And
as you bring that up, Jorge, Highsmith, like I said, because he does play the other side, he has had really nice tackle numbers for a DN lately. So he has 6 or more tackles in 3 of the last 4 games. So even though he only has 1 sack in that period, he does have 6 tackles in 3 of the last 4 games. So you are going to get a nice floor from Highsmith. And if he gets 6 tackles and a sack, he's getting you a monster performance this week. So I I like it. I'm leaning on Highsmith and I'm leaning on Hunter this week. Though I like Latu and Walker, I'm taking the vets in pretty good matchups for both those guys.
Love it. Let's carry on with some news and notes here. So James Williams, so spoiler alert, I wrote about him as my IDP pickup of the week over in the waiver wire article at fantasyandframes.com, which folks head over there. We got a lot of content to, these are, a lot of time and research goes into putting these articles together. And, we make sure we, not only give you the right advice, but we get ahead of the curve. So you get that advantage over fantasy managers. And James Williams, we were talking about on the show last week with Gary, somebody that we were hoping would get the opportunity, and Cedric Gray out with a concussion last week, and James Williams came in and just tore it up. If Gray can't play again this week, and Williams, one of the things that also makes him really cool is that on Sleeper, he's defensive back eligible. So I woke up Sunday morning in my home league, who you joined my home league this year, and I saw that Williams was available, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm putting him in here. Once I saw just Cedric Gray was out, I'm like, he's my defensive back right now, and he got me like 20 fantasy points. So I was, oh my god, just all about the James Williams here. Are you with me though? If Cedric Gray can't go in, throw in James Williams, or are you kind of like?
Yeah, I like it. I needed Cedric Gray bad. I had a bunch of semifinal teams. I was just been riding Cedric Gray, so I was like, oh no, he's out, and I didn't have James Williams behind him, so that one hurt for me because I was like, oh, I really need Cedric Gray to go. He didn't go. I am in the third place. I won fifth place in the home league this year. I made a late run and made the playoffs. So I was pumped I got in the playoffs, but I got absolutely worked. Even though I was the fourth seed in the home league, I came back, made some moves, and I lost the first round of the playoffs. So I ended up getting fifth in my first year in the Jorge home league. So I'll take it. I would have liked to have a championship. Top three would have been great, but I'll take fifth.
I appreciate it. First of all, thank you very much for joining that league. We had some people leave, so it's getting somebody who knew some IDP also. That was also very clutch. So thank you for joining.
The crazy part, Jorge, is this is always what burns me. When people are like, hey, don't look at the comments because you're going to get upset. I always go back and I look at the scores after I get knocked out, and half the time I realize I would have won the league if I could have just won that week. So I got knocked out in the first round. I put up a terrible score in the first round. And the next round, I had the highest score of everybody in the next round. And you're lucky I got knocked off because I would have played you. And I actually outscored you by 6 points. What would have been the semis, I would be in the championship game. But you're welcome. I lost on purpose in the first round. I'm going to go down and say this. I lost on purpose in the first round so Jorge could get to the championship.
He threw it. He threw the playoffs. Yeah. In my work league, I left both Parker Washington and Ashton Janty on my bench, and that did not work out well for me. And here I am, and the guy that I work with, every time he was the number one seed, every time he comes around, after he beats one of us or something, he like just comes around and he just like talks like mad shit and then goes back, like to the point where it's not even like funny. It's like, oh, them fighting words, and then he like walks over back to his.
You always got to have that one guy in your league that just like totally tries to get into it with everybody. It's like, you had the fun ribbing, like, oh, and then you have the guy that's like, no, F you, I put you down. Like, you always have at least one guy in every league. It never fails.
And so I congratulated him, and I was like, yeah, go get that championship. I always wish the person who beats me. He's like, too easy. I'm like, you mother. Okay, whatever. So
of course he does. He's like, oh, easy win.
Whatever.
No, the funny thing is, you talked about leaving Ginty and Parker Washington on your bench.
Yeah.
I played a guy that we were like 50 points favorites in one of my reality sports online leagues. That's a salary league, contract league. And we've been in first place all year. Number one team, 12-2. I was like a 40 or 50 point favorite. in the semifinals after being, the number 1 seed in a bye. He plays Parker Washington and Alec Pierce against me. I'm thinking we're golden. Wow. We go into Monday night. I've got Nick Cross, Jonathan Taylor. He's got Alec Pierce, and I'm down like 15 points. I'm like, I'm going to make that up. Right. Nope. Alec Pierce, 2 freaking touchdowns. Nick Cross, nothing. And I lose. Oh, I was trying to go back-to-back championships in this league, too. Real upset about it. Lamar going out hurt absolutely buried me. Pretty upset. That was Cedric Gray. That was the league where I absolutely needed Cedric Gray to play and have a monster game because this is a really high-score IDP league, really high-scoring. Like, you get, I think it's 2 points for a tackle and 1.25 for assist. So it gets up there like 6 for back, 6. Yeah, so pretty upset about that one that I lost after trying to – I was trying to be the first time to go back-to-back in that league. It's been around about 10 years, and I'm out. Because Alec Pierce, of course, my boy, I love Alec Pierce. I have him everywhere. It's like the only league I don't have him in, and I didn't play him anywhere because I'm like, I just sat all my Colts players that weren't Jonathan Taylor. And, of course, he catches 2 touchdowns. I'm at the game. I'm in the crowd like, you see that meme where they're like clapping and cheering, but they're like crying at the same time. That was me in the stands at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm like, yay, Alec Pierce. I'm like, right at the same time. I'm like, because I'm losing, but I was like, I want the Colts to win. Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a toughie.
Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Speaking of not going your way, like we mentioned earlier, Denzel Perryman suspended for the rest of the season. And if I remember what I read correctly, it was because something about not doing something health training related properly. Like I didn't come out and say like steroids or something along those lines. It was very oddly phrased.
It was like, can we put out something that's the most cryptic, impossible thing to interpret? And that's what we're gonna do. That's what it felt like. I'm like, what are they even saying? It was just like it was total HR BS. Like,
oh yeah,
garbage. They were like, oh, something wrong, but what? Didn't explain anything, but okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. So anyhow, so we talked about Henley's floor. Troy Dye is somebody who has stepped in and played well when there's been an injury to Perryman or to Henley. So he could potentially be an emergency break glass in the case of emergency player for you.
I'm still hurt on the Junior Colson. I'm still hurt on Junior Colson. I love Junior Colson. He was my guy 2 years ago. I was like, if there's anybody I wanted in leagues, it was Junior Colson. He was just going to step in and be that guy. He's the captain on the Michigan team when they won the national title. Just absolute tackling machine. And it's like everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for him since he's been in the NFL. Injuries. He had I think it was appendicitis or something his rookie year. It was just all kinds of stupid. It's like, I'm still holding out hope. I got him on some IRs. I got him on some taxi squads on a few teams. I'm holding out hope that next year is the year he jumps in. But man, it's been rough.
It's yep. Myles Garrett has an opportunity versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this week to break the single season sack record. JT, 2-part questions. Does he do it? And then second part, how effing sweet would that be if you're a Browns fan that Myles Garrett does it against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
So me as a Steelers fan who has done nothing but tout TJ Watt over Myles Garrett for his entire career and trying to tell people that he's better, really having to eat it this year because Myles Garrett has been so much better than TJ Watt this year, which really freaking makes me want to puke even saying that. But it's true. He's been so much better than TJ this year. I don't know. Did you see where he fell in the end zone and then they gave it to him because he was the closest player as he gave himself up, gave him half a sack? I was like, shouldn't that go to Mason Graham? Because he basically just fell. He tripped and then Mason Graham touched him. I'm like, shouldn't that be a Mason Graham sack? No, they're like, I knew they were going to talk their way into some rules thing that was going to give him a half a sack there. And of course they're like, well, he was the closest player along with that guy when he fell. And I'm like, he tripped and fell, and he didn't make him fall. He wasn't even there. But but these are these rules. I know right now that Myles Garrett's going to get the sack. I mean, you might as well throw a bunch of money on this sucker because he's going to get the sack just to burn every Steelers fan like me who has been touting TJ as the man, the sack master over Myles Garrett for years, and now Garrett has a chance to get another MVP award, break the record, and just piss off every Steelers fan and make all our Browns fans, which we have plenty of them that we know, our good friend, the IDP Godfather, Jamie, in the chat, my buddy Anthony, who does a sports radio show in Cleveland, huge Cleveland Browns fan. So all those guys are going to be super happy if that happens. And I have to tell you, I feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah, and he might get a second sack just to wipe away the sour taste of the half a sack that you're referring to. Out of the way, history could happen this weekend, and now I'm a big history. Like I appreciate sports history when it happens, and so from a football fan's perspective, I think I'll appreciate that. But I can understand as a Steelers fan. Yeah,
you also have to realize they've got an undrafted free agent playing that spot against him this week. He's been good, so I don't want to trash him. He's been good, but he has not seen Myles Garrett yet, and it definitely scares me that Myles Garrett goes off and has just a monster game and destroys the Steelers offense this week.
Aaron, run.
Yeah.
We talked about Jihad Campbell and Nakobe Dean. So yeah, I think that's going to round up here.
Hey, Jorge, I hate to tell you this, but we're the last show, so we got time, but we're over 45 minutes in, and we haven't even got to our ceiling floor plays yet.
It's hilarious.
We had a lot of people in the chat asking sit questions, which I love.
Yeah, it's funny. In the waiver wire watch party show last night, that's the same thing. Like, we got 45 minutes into the show, we were just like having fun, and the chat was lively. And then somebody was like, "Holy crap, we haven't even gotten to quarterbacks yet. We need to wrap this up." So, how about we just skip Money or Mirage for this week and go straight into plays and fades? How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. All right, Joel. Thank you very much for being patient with us. Let's get into some plays and fades, and like we've done all fantasy playoff season, whether it's been on podcasts, our podcast, on the Fourth and Frames podcast, our articles, plays and fades, our IDP plays and fades. We don't just give you starts and sits. We give you floor plays, ceiling plays, and a fade. That way, depending on your situation that you have for the week, you can kind of make an informed decision of like, okay, well, if I'm like not doing so hot, I need to swing for the upside. You go for the ceiling play, right? And if you're like neck and neck and you just want some stability, you go for the floor play, right? Makes sense. So we have that in article forms in our show, and for the offense / DST show, Fourth and Frames and articles, we got you covered. FantasyandFrames.com is your best friend this week. Plus, we got rankings going live ASAP. So we really appreciate you all heading over to our website and taking a look there. But let's get you some floor plays, excuse me, at the defensive line position. For me, it's Myles Murphy, edge rusher, Cincinnati Bengals. This past week had 5 total tackles, a tackle for a loss, a fumble recovery, Fantasy Pro scoring 12.5 points. In back-to-back games, he has tallied 7 total tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, and 4 quarterback hits with an elitely scary pressure rate of 18.9%. Drafted, I believe, 2023, it was a lot of talk of like, is he the, Sam Hubbard replacement? Is he going to be the future next to Trey Hendrickson? And now we don't know what the situation is. Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard retired. Then, we have Joseph Osai who came on late, and then Joseph Osai has been injured. But Myles Murphy is starting to finally turn that corner just in time, right? And he's one of those people who the Cardinals this week, they have allowed the 5th most sacks on the season. And Jacoby Brissett, when under pressure since week 14, has been sacked 7 times. So one of the things that's really cool about Miles Murphy also is when looking back at some of his plays from this past week 15, got you a lot of pressures, got you sacks. Week 16, didn't have a lot of impact in the passing game, but against the run versus the Dolphins, this guy was like making plays everywhere. Like I was watching this one clip on Twitter, and they didn't like zero in on the players. They just had like a big like camera. It was like if somebody was like taking like a camera video from like the upper decks of a stadium, but you saw like multiple players as soon as the ball was snapped, moving and moving and moving, and then you saw one player really really fast get to the running back. That was Miles Murphy. So he could definitely play against the run in the pass, and he's definitely somebody who I believe is a good ceiling, given the matchup versus Arizona Cardinals. Given that Jacoby Brissett takes a lot of sacks when he's under pressure, so I'm going with that. And then Summer, this ties back into your question as far as the second defensive lineman, Austin freaking Booker, edge rusher, Chicago Bears. This past week, 7 total tackles, half a sack for 10.3 fantasy points. He has had, over the past 3 weeks, a pressure rate of 12.4%, which is right at the average for edge rushers in the NFL in 2025. He has also tallied, amongst the edge rushers on the Bears, 16 total tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. If you all remember from the articles over at Fantasy and Frames, and as well as talking on the show earlier in the season, I was a big proponent of Montez Sweat, because what is Montez Sweat? What was he doing? He was getting you the high tackle numbers. That way you have the elevated fantasy floor, and then any impact plays that happen on top of that, whether it's like forced fumbles recoveries, or sacks, that just propels, the performance for a fantasy manager, to the nth degree. And then all of a sudden, Montez Sweat kind of fell off in the terms of the tackle numbers, and he's been more pressure, sack, or bust. And it's been Austin Booker now who's been impersonating Montez Sweat in that regard. So he already is producing a great tackle floor. So again, elevated ceiling. And now you throw in the fact that he has the potential for a sack this week, or half a sack. Even if it's a half a sack, like it is very advantageous to play Austin Booker. He is trending in the right direction. If you are hurting, and I mean hurting at defensive line, and you need somebody with a lot of upside, Austin Booker, I guarantee you he is available in your league. He is rostered 0% on Sleeper, 1.5% on ESPN, 0 on Yahoo, a whopping 0.3 consensus rostership percentage. So, hail King Booker, WWE reference, go get him.
Jorge, I have to jump in here on Booker. He was a guy that when the Bears had no draft picks left, they traded up into the 5th round to grab him 2 years ago. And I said it was an absolutely phenomenal move. All my friends or Bears fans were like, who's this guy? Was that a good move? I was like, abso-freaking-lutely. Traded up, took him in the 5th round. If he would have went back to college, one more year at Kansas, I think he was a possible late 2nd, early 3rd round pick at DN. I loved his upside. I had him on my DLF rankings for rookies. Even though he was a 5th round pick, I still had him in my top 25. And people were like, what? A 5th round defense? I was like, this guy is just scratching the surface. I was like, if he would have went back to school, I think his draft value would have went through the roof. I think he's a guy, if you're out of it, but you're in a league that you can still pick up guys before the offseason hits, or if you can't pick up guys now, but you can pick up guys once your championship's over, if you can go to the waivers.
Like a Dynasty.
I think Booker's a good pickup, man. I think he's a nice pickup for next year. I really do. I thought he came out a year too early, but I thought he was a great steal by the Bears getting him in the 5th round, because I thought he would have been a 2nd or 3rd rounder the year after, which would have been this last year. I think he's trending in the right direction. He's going to be one of my sneaky favorite pickups this offseason.
And I just want to make this clear. When we're talking about our names for plays and fades. We do have criteria for which players we're selecting, right? So we're not going to tell you you should play Danielle Hunter. Like, well, no shit, I should play Danielle Hunter. We're not going to, you're not going to tell you you should play Max Crosby. We're not going to give you like Greg Rousseau. We're not going to give you like obvious names, depending on matchups. Although Greg Rousseau is not an obvious name, but he does have a somewhat good matchup this week. We're giving you for defensive linemen using Fantasy Pros ECR rankings, expert consensus rankings. Defensive linemen outside the top 12, for linebackers outside the top 24, defensive backs outside the top 12. So Austin Booker outside top 12, and is Miles Murphy. So that's my rationale for those two players. JT, who are your floor and ceiling plays at defensive line?
If you stuck around with him and kept him on your roster all year, now's the time to play him. I love Cam Hayward. He's an all-time Steelers great. He has not been great this season. I'm not going to lie. He has not been great. He's killed you in a lot of formats unless you're playing just defensive tackle start only. But here's the thing. It's prime time now. It's go time. We're playing the playoffs. He has turned it up the last 4 weeks. So if you would just have ignored him, I can understand that because he was not good for most of the season. But the last 4 weeks, we're getting prime Cam Hayward. He has, in the last 4 weeks, he's had two sacks. He has got 4 or more tackles in every game. Two games, he had 5 tackles. Another game, he tackles. This is a defensive tackle lineman eligible. So he's a guy getting you tackles. He's back-to-back sacks for the first time all year. Now goes against Cleveland, a team he typically plays strong against. He obviously hates the Browns as he's spent his entire career with the Steelers. I think he's a really nice floor play this week because I think he's going to get you some tackles. He has a shot at a sack. He's been really good as far as those tackle numbers. Like I said, 5 tackles or more and 3 of the last 4, and the other he didn't have 5 tackles. He had 4 tackles and a sack. So he's been a really nice play. So if you've been ignoring him all year, he's out there on the waiver wire and you've got injury problems, I think Cam Hayward's a decent pickup to throw in your lineup this week. On the opposite side of that, a name that's been top 10 all year, but has definitely been fading the last couple weeks is Nick Bonito for the Broncos. Obviously, a super talented guy. Questions were, was he overrated or underrated coming in to the season after, kind of the monster end he had last year? The thing about him, he has not been really good the last couple weeks, to be honest with you. And so if you look at the Fantasy Pros rankings right now, he's actually 17th this week, which seems pretty low for him. The last 2 games hasn't done much, just 2 solo tackles and 2 assists in the back-to-back games. I think he gets back together here against Kansas City. I think he has a shot with a third-string QB to get in there, and this is a possibly huge ceiling play as I could see him somehow. We know what he's done in the past. He can get those 2.5 sack games with a forced fumble. I like it. To me, if you're wavering, usually you're probably starting Bonito no matter what. But if you're wavering because you have a deep lineup or you're like in a league where you can only start one defensive lineman and you're like, oh, Bonito sucked for me the last 2 weeks. Do I play him in the title game? I think you get him back in there. I'm playing him in my leagues that I have him in, even though he's been frustrating the last 2 weeks. We are only 2 weeks away from where he had 2 sacks, 3 tackles, 2 sacks against Vegas, and 3 tackles and a sack against Washington just 3 and 4 weeks ago. So he is right there. I'm back on Bonito. I'm playing him as a ceiling play. Hopefully he gets you a monster game, gets 2 sacks, and wins you a championship.
I mean, he's since week 14, he still is getting you like double-digit pressures and gotten you 2 sacks. So like you said,
yep. He hasn't got home all the time, but he has been there. And I know if you're looking, like, these are the times where we overthink it, right, Jorge? We're in the championship. Like, oh, he's only got 4 total tackles with no sacks the last 2 weeks. He's going against a bad KC offensive line with a third-string quarterback. They're playing for nothing. I think Bonito eats in this game. So I'm if you're worried about the last couple of weeks, I think you brush that off and you get him back in your lineup.
100% agree. 100% agree. Okay, so our defensive lineman floor plays for both of us. I have Miles Murphy. JT's got Cam Hayward. And then for my ceiling play, I got Austin Booker. And JT has Nick Bonito. Let's
The
go to
one
linebacker. Go
sneaky,
ahead.
real one I'll throw in real quick. A
Oh,
sneaky
yeah.
play
Yeah.
is Zach Seiler for Miami against Tampa Bay. He has 4.5 sacks in the last 3 games as a defensive tackle eligible. So if you're out there, need a D tackle, but even on D line, he has been very solid lately. Usually you don't think of those D tackles as guys you want to get in your lineup, especially in crunch time. But the offensive line for Tampa Bay hasn't been great, and he's got 4.5 sacks in 3 games. So if you're looking for a sneaky pickup and play, Zach Seiler for the Dolphins, I think could be a nice play this week.
Very nice. All right, let's get into our linebackers here. So I'll get us going here. I'm going to go with Diane Henley. He's one of the guys I mentioned earlier. Denzel Perryman out, vacated tackle opportunities heading his way. Troy Dye, as I mentioned, he had played well when filling in for either Henley or Perryman. This is Diane Henley's linebacking core for the rest of the season. And then you look at the Houston Texans. Since week 14, are they allowing the 15th most fantasy points per game to the linebacker position. So you definitely love the potential here. You go back to week 14. You look Fantasy Pro scoring, Nick Bolton, 18.5 points. You go to week 15 versus the Cardinals, and a linebacker, Akeem Davis-Gaither, is somebody who jumps out. Somebody who's not even like the green signal caller. It's a green dot caller. It's Cody Simon, who's the captain on the defense. But Akeem Davis-Gaither, he had 11 points there. So again, that was surprising that he was able to get that much. But it goes to speak on the opportunities that the Texans allow. You go back to last week, Devin White to 15 points. So again, the fantasy trends are heading in your direction there. So he is my floor play. My ceiling play is Jack Gibbons. Jack Gibbons, again, like I was alluding to earlier, Robert Spillane is out. He is somebody that you're putting into your lineup as an LB2, LB3. 9 total tackles last week at TFL for 12.3 fantasy points. He had a team high tackle efficiency of 18.2%. And what really makes this a good thing is that his missed tackle rate was sub 10%, which is what you want. You want single digit missed tackle rates. That way, like he's really hitting home when he's going to make a tackle. The Jets are allowing the 7th most fantasy points per game to the linebacker position. So if Spillane is out, Gibbons, just throw him into your starting lineup if you roll 2-3 linebackers deep on your team. So those are my ceiling and floor plays at the linebacker position. JT, who you got?
So a guy I've talked about a couple times in the last few weeks, Nick Bolton for the Chiefs, usually ranked extremely, extremely high. He had a really rough stretch this year. From week 7 to week 12, he had 1 double-digit performance. 1. For a guy that a lot of people drafted really high or you're expecting a lot of performance of, been down. I saw a lot of people getting out of the lineups. He was like, in the 30s, 40s, 50s among linebackers in scoring. If you haven't been paying attention lately, he has been extremely consistent the last 4 weeks. Double digits, 14.5 points or more in 4 straight games. He's in double-digit tackles in 4 straight games. The Chiefs, the biggest home underdog they've been in 50 years this week against the Broncos. Everybody out for the Chiefs. They're missing the playoffs. Everybody's hurt. They're 13-point dogs at home against the Broncos in what is usually a pretty big rivalry game. I think Bolton's on the field a lot. I think Denver ends up just constantly dominating time of possession in this game. And I think while that sucks, if you want to have any offensive players for the Chiefs, you probably don't want them, but defensive guys, that's fantasy gold when they're on the field the whole game. He will be out there the whole game. I think we can count on another double-digit tackle performance for Nick Bolton. So I think he's a phenomenal floor play. I'm in a couple leagues. If you're, starting 3 linebackers, 4 linebackers, of course he's in your starting lineup. But if you're in leagues where you're only starting like 1 or 2 small IDP side, and you're like, should I play him or not over these other guys? I think you got to have him in the lineup. I think he is just a great floor play. He should get double-digit tackles again for you. My ceiling play is Jamian Sherwood against New England. Again, same thing. No Travion Henderson, but that means Ramondre Stevenson pounding the rock. I think they get up in this game. He's coming off 11 tackle, 1 sack performance. He was LB2 in Fantasy Pros scoring last week. Again, I think the Jets defense is going to be on the field a lot this week against the Patriots. I think the Patriots get up and they start pounding the rock. Sherwood, that means tackles. I like him as a ceiling play this week.
I love it. So for our linebacker floors, I have Diane Henley. JT's got Nick Bolton. And then for our ceiling plays, I got Jack Gibbons. And JT's got Jamian Sherwood. Let's get to defensive backs. Floor play, Jamari Connor versus the Denver Broncos. The last time they played, week 11, 5 solos, 3 assisted, a TFL, and even a sack for Connor versus the Denver Broncos. You look at his usage pattern this past week per PFF and John Macri and all the great work he does over there. Connor played 56.2% of snaps in the box, 16.4 at free deep safety, which is great. You don't want them playing in coverage. Your safeties or defensive backs, you do like the slot coverage, though, because they do get peppered with targets. And he played 23%. And then for all the safeties who played 90% of snaps or more, he had a team leading high 8.2% blitz rate. So you love the usage there. You go to fantasy points allowed. Connor's, the Broncos are right up there and allowing a lot of fantasy points to the safety position. So Connor definitely, to what you were saying also, as far as the Chiefs defense being on the field a lot, volume is king, baby. You know what I mean? So give me all the Chiefs defensive players except for one, which I'll get to later. But give me Connor this week. And then as far as my ceiling play, which I don't know if it's fair to call him a ceiling play, but I mean, it's the Jets, right? So, and again, if I insulted you Jets fans, I'm sorry, but let's be honest. You know what I'm talking about. Malachi Moore, who, to be honest with you, he could have filled in nicely as a ceiling play, as a floor play. But going against the New England Patriots this week, meaning the Jets, this past week, he had 8 total tackles and a forced fumble for 13.8 fantasy points. Since week 14, he has been the DB7 in points per game, averaging 12.5 fantasy points. The Patriots, since week 14, also, are allowing the 4th most fantasy points per game to the safety position. So, and you love what you're seeing from Moore there. He is definitely a box safety. He is playing a majority of the snaps in the box. He's not playing anything deep in coverage. You know his role. Sherwood, like to what you were saying, and then Malachi Moore. I think in terms of tackle production, those are the guys that you really want to hammer home for the Jets this week versus New England. And then for my ceiling play, I'm going to go. Oh, that was my ceiling play. So anyhow, Kamari Connor for floor, Malachi Moore for ceiling. Before we get to yours, JT, I want to give a shout out to Brendrum in the chat with a nice donation up from our friends to the north in Canada. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So Brendrum, and we're going to answer this on air because you're kind enough to give a donation here. So he's asking us, he needs to dump 2 running backs with the Hendo concussion.
He says he's got to drop 2 players because he needs running back help.
Sorry.
With Henderson out. So he's asking us between some of these offensive and defensive guys. I did ask him redraft league, so this is redraft.
Okay.
He's saying, who should I drop to pick up some help at running back? He currently has Campbell, Edmonds, and Chin locked in, which I like that, with some room to go in the championship game. So on this one, he says he's got Hundo, who's out with a concussion, Travion Henderson out with concussion. Michael Wilson's got a thumb injury. We're not 100% sure what's going on with that. He also has Ellis Pratt, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who also has a little bit of a knee injury. Who are the 2 guys you would drop here? For me, in a redraft league, I'm in. Oh, sorry, that's Eric Wilson, not Michael Wilson.
Okay.
So for me, I'm probably dropping CJ Gardner-Johnson. He's been good, but with the injury, kick him to the curb in a redraft. You don't need him this week. It's not going to matter. I'm getting rid of him. Are you dropping Eric Wilson also in this? I like Ellis. I like Pratt still. I don't know if you're going to start either one of them, but I do like those guys. Are you dropping Wilson or are you dropping Travion Henderson knowing that you're in the championship? If it's not too weak and he's not going to play, do you drop him and go get somebody else, especially since it's redraft?
No, I'm not. I'm holding on to Henderson.
Dropping Eric Wilson?
No, I love Wilson, but he goes on to say he has Jahad Campbell, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jeremy Chin locked in. I don't think Edmonds is a locked in player. You know, I've always found him to be very mediocre, like nothing. Like
I almost like. Do you like Ellis or Pratt over Edmonds this week?
I love Pratt over Edmonds.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way, Brendrum. I do. I think I like Pratt over Edmonds in this lineup.
You know, watching the game on Sunday night, you know, one of the things that they said was Tremaine Edmonds, you know, inside linebacker, really long arms, great at intercepting the ball. I'm like, I don't want that for my inside linebacker. I want the description for his play to be somebody who makes a lot of tackles, not somebody who's great at swatting the ball down. That's not why I drafted him. So, yeah, I would Bendrum, I would dump Edmonds here and CJ Gardner-Johnson, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and he's been pretty good. I know he's like one of the least sexy plays, and he didn't have a good game last week, but Caden Ellis has still been pretty good. Going against the Rams, a team that's going to want to run the ball. I know he hurt you last week if you played him, because I played him in quite a few spots. He only had 4 tackles with 1 solo, but I do like him still this week going against the Rams team with some of the injuries they have at wide receiver. I can see them trying to run the ball a little bit more against Atlanta. He says tackle heavy scoring.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like Chin in there. I'm definitely on that one. Like I said, I'm leaning towards an Ellis or a Pratt start over Edmonds though.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And he goes on to say, thanks guys, and keep it up. We need more IDP guys on here. Hey, thank you very much. And you know, we're not done here until the fall. We're doing startup content for Dynasty IDP edition. We're doing IDP prospect analysis. We're doing draft coverage for IDPs. Then we're getting into rookie content. Like we're year round shoot the gap here. So thank you very much, and stay tuned in 2026. And we'll keep on bringing you great IDP content. So thank you very much for the compliment. It means a lot. All right, JT, you're a defensive backs. Sorry to interrupt you.
Nope, just to jump in there. It's a perfect. I feel like, guys, like I said, everybody's in our minds tonight. Jeremy Chin, he just brought him up. He has him locked in. I have him locked in. Jeremy Chin is my floor play. He's had a really nice, solid tackle base most of the year. A little bit down week last week, but I like him. He's getting up. He's playing a lot. The Giants last week, 30 rush attempts, 13 pass attempts. I want the guy that's playing in the box, playing close to the line against a team that's going to run the ball a ton, which it looks like that's what the Giants are planning on doing here. So I'm in Jeremy Chin for the Raiders as my floor play against the Giants. My ceiling play, and I feel like this is where I think he's going to get you some nice tackle numbers, but I have a feeling he's going to have a shot to get a big pick and maybe a pick 6, and that's Jordan Battle against Arizona. We know Arizona's been throwing the ball like crazy lately. Battle's been strong. I like the matchup here against Arizona. Is going to air it out a ton against. And we've seen this Arizona team and this Bagels team. This game could get ridiculously high scoring, but that also helps me with the DBs. They're both going to throw the ball a ton. I like Battle. I think he's going to be in the mix a lot in this game with a chance for a high tackle, especially if you get a league that does pretty high points for passes defensed. I think he's going to have a shot to get some hand on a few balls, maybe get 2 or 3 passes defense, which would really help you out. And obviously, icing on the cake, if he somehow can come away with a takeaway, a pick would be huge. So to me, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities. That's why he's my ceiling play this week.
All right. We got Chris Westergaard, 1168 in the chat. DL, Jordan Young versus Tennessee. Man, let's see here. Chase Young. Why am I overthinking this? It's Chase Young. The guy has had
Jorge, I almost jumped in and I was like, how are you thinking about this?
Yeah,
we're going to talk about sack lunch in a minute, but I'm like, how are you thinking
he is my
about
sack
this,
lunch.
not just taking your guy?
The Santa hat is restricting blood to the brain. Cameron Jordan, who has actually been playing a lot more snaps inside and interior defensive line, he and Chase Young have had double-digit sacks over the past 3 weeks, but it's been Chase Young who's had the bigger track record of converting a lot of those sacks, pressures into sacks. So it's Chase Young versus Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the teams that give up the most sacks. So Chase Young, I'm not only anticipating one sack, but probably multiple. Sorry about that. I have no idea where I was like. What,
I was like a little teaser for the sack lunch later. I was like, Jorge, I was like, maybe you're gonna change your mind. I don't know. You were throwing me off there when you were thinking about it.
All right, let's go to our fades now. This guy, since week 14, has only had 9 pressures, 1 sack. When we look at tackles, has a missed tackle rate, of 33.3%. So he's not giving you that floor that you want for your edge rushers. You go back to this past week in week 16, had a pressure rate of 4.3%. 4.3%. We're talking elite. We're talking teens, high teens. You get in the 20s, holy Jesus, was that sacrilegious to say right before Christmas? I apologize if I did. Anyhow, I'm talking about George Karlaftis. He is the one Chief who I am fading this week, going up against the Denver Broncos. There has been no trend whatsoever that gives me any confidence that it's like, hey, this is the guy I want to be putting all my faith in. Chase Young for me over George Karlaftis without even hesitating to make that move. So he is my fade at defensive line. JT, who's your fade?
I have to be honest. I am shocked he's ranked this high on Fantasy Pros. I'm actually really surprised. Trayvon Walker for Jacksonville is ranked 14th this week on Fantasy Pros for defensive linemen. He has just done nothing this season. He doesn't have a full sack since week 3. He has 1 half sack since then. He's missed multiple games with injury. The tackle numbers are low. 3 weeks ago, he had 6 tackles against Indy the first time they played. 4 of those were assists, nothing else in that range. Since then, 3 tackles. Week before that, 4 tackles, 1 tackle, 1 tackle, 1 tackle, 1 tackle. Trayvon Walker has not been good this year. He has not been good. The one thing you would maybe, if you're not looking at all the advanced stats, you're like, oh, Phillip Rivers, he's a statue. He's going to get crushed. He's got to get a sack. Phillip Rivers has only taken 3 sacks in the last 2 games. Now, we know he doesn't move around. He's not moving around, but he's getting rid of the ball. He's only taken 3 sacks, which I think is pretty unbelievable, especially when he didn't have a starting left tackle on Monday night, and he still was able to get rid of the ball. I can't, for the life of me, trust Trayvon Walker. I've got him in multiple leagues. I can't play him. There's no way you can play this guy when his best game is 6 tackles versus the Colts with 4 of those assists. That's his best game all season since week 3. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugly. He's not winning. He's not getting home. He's one of those guys I really liked coming into this year. I thought he was going to have a big year this year because he really improved last year for the Jags. He's taken a step back this season for the former number 1 pick. Nice name value in Trayvon Walker, but man, I couldn't do it without getting that little puke in your mouth, like up in your throat.
Just throw up a little bit.
If I had him in my starting lineup this week, that's what I'd be doing. I'm like, ooh, I can't do it, man. I got to get Trayvon Walker out of there. There's just nothing that says that he should be playable, especially at this point in the season, a championship game. You could go find somebody on the waiver wire is probably a better player and a better high upside guy than Trayvon Walker this week. 100%
agree. When we get to the linebacking position, again, speaking of players that I'm surprised that they're ranked this high. Granted, it's like Wednesday, so maybe not everybody has like submitted their rankings, but the fact that whoever has submitted their rankings has Logan Wilson as the LB9 heading into this week, that is
Jorge. Like, I saw the same thing, and I was like, when you put it on the sheet, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not the only crazy. I'm like, why is he ranked so high? It makes no sense to me that he's ranked this high. I'm glad you noticed it too.
Yeah. DeMarvion Overshown, just huge fan of his coming out of Texas, and just such potential. And he always seems to get hurt every year, and it's horrible. He got a concussion this past week, didn't return, may not play. We saw Shamar James pick up the slack in terms of total defensive snap share. And then we had Kenneth Murray and Logan Wilson. Kenneth Murray, 56.3% snap share. Logan Wilson, 42.2%. I'll tell you why people are probably in on Logan Wilson is because out of all the linebackers for the Dallas Cowboys, he had the highest tackle efficiency of 14.8%, which means nothing if you're only playing
42% of snaps.
42.2% of snap. Thank you. Like it's like the somebody who's like in their, if I'm gonna use a baseball analogy, like their entire baseball career is like one at bat, one home run. I'm a perfect hitter. I can retire now. Why am I not in the Hall of Fame? It's like, you know what I mean? So Logan Wilson versus the Commanders this week. Pump the brakes. If you're going to play a linebacker for the Cowboys, it would be Shamar James, not Logan Wilson.
I totally agree with you. I feel like this was like when the trade was made, you thought, okay, Dallas, they're really hurting a linebacker. They need somebody like, okay, Logan Wilson's a great ad. And they've played him at all. So they obviously don't love him because they haven't been playing. They're literally trying to find any way not to play him after getting him. So it seems crazy to me. That's another one, man, that makes me want to puke. Believe me, I played Logan Wilson a ton in IDP over the last couple of years, and he's actually been really good for me in the past, but I can't even fathom playing a guy in the championship week that played 40% of snaps last week. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Who is your linebacker fade for the week here?
Sometimes I feel like I get on these like tears on certain games, and it's just probably just my personality. It's probably some flaw. I don't know what happens, but Devin Lloyd for the Jags. I don't love him either. Like, I was completely out on Devin Lloyd. I totally talked smack about him. Then he got off to a great start this year, and I was like, I'm gonna have to eat crow on that. Devin Lloyd's actually looking pretty good. Maybe I'm wrong on him. I was always a big Chad Muma guy. I thought he should play over him, but obviously that ship has sailed. Another one of those where he went to the Colts. Perfect opportunity. I thought like, oh, sure, Chad Muma is going to fit perfectly here. And then they just never played him. And now he's on the Patriots. So
is he really?
Devin, yes, I just noticed this, and this is only because this is me. No one else in the entire NFL world noticed that Chad Muma is not on the Colts. He's on the Patriots now, but me, because I love Chad Muma. But I think that is officially finished. I did drop him in 2 leagues this week after he got released by the Colts and with the Patriots. So that one hurts. Just on a personal level, it hurts because I really like Chad Muma coming out. But Devin Lloyd, he's LB 36 this week. Oh, man, he gave you some great starts early in the season. I'm like, oh, okay, here he is. He's coming back. Snap share has been right around 70 to 75% the last 3 weeks. His best game, he had 13.3 points against Indy. So you say, oh, doesn't that mean he should play? Well, he had a pass defense and a pick. He had 1 solo tackle, 7 assists in that game. So for all that, to only have 13.3 points with a pick is not great. So, and the problem is that's his best game. Like in a lot of weeks, a lot of weeks. So that 13-3 is his best game since week 12. Since then, 1 tackle, solo tackle, 5 assists against the Jets. Denver, 3 solos, his best game, 2 assists, and 1 pass defense. I'm out. Like, don't look at that Colts game from week 14 and it's like, oh, well, he scored 13 points against them. Well, he 7 assists and he got a lucky pick across the middle where they literally threw it right into his hands. I'm out on Devin Lloyd this week. Even I know it's like you're like, hey, they're going to pound the rock with JT. That means linebacker tackles. I think he's in Patrick Queen territory at this point where you're just like, unless you get a ton of points for assisted tackles, which most leagues do not give you a lot of points for assisted tackles.
Right.
Like, unless you're getting a lot of points for assisted tackles, he's on the assist tackle train. Like, he's going to give you like 1 solo, 4 or 5 assists, and it's going to be a bad score. So I'm out on Devin Lloyd. Don't let that earlier Colts game a couple weeks ago fool you.
Yeah. I was looking at his snap share from this past week. So Loken's going to play 100% of snaps, and he had a 16.7% tackle efficiency, 11 total tackles for PFF. Great. Devin Lloyd, 72.7, and you're thinking like, nah, whatever. 47% on 3rd and 4th down. Like, he is not on the field enough. Only had a tackle efficiency of 8.3%. So he's not on the field enough, and when he's on the field, he's crap in the bed. So right there with you there. I'm going to get to my defensive back fade, and he has been, I think, for years the fantasy football enigma at defensive back, because it's like, dude, you play at the right position on the field every freaking week. Like, why isn't there more of a translation into production? And I am talking about Grant Delpit, safety, box safety, plays all the snaps in the box, basically, for the Cleveland Browns. You can have all the metrics point in your direction, and I'm a math nerd when it comes to that stuff. So I try and make my correlations there, and I go back and I look at, the games and see what's going on. I look at the fantasy numbers. I see how things are translating from the metrics all the way to the production. Because at the end of the day, you can have all this data, but if it's not translating into the production on the field, then what are you doing? He, in weeks 14 through 16, okay, is the defensive back 182. 182. Going to the weekly ECR for Fantasy Pros IDP, he is listed as the defensive back 9. 182, yet is the DB9 this week. Like, that is
doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make
utterly,
any sense to me.
Utterly ridiculous. We got Crypto Life Bags in the chat. What's up? How you doing? I got your DM. I will respond to you a little bit later. He is a big IDP junkie. Obviously, he's here with us on Shoot the Gap. So I did get your message. Just haven't had a chance to reply, but I will reply. And folks, again, if you ever have any questions fantasy football wise, whether it's for the rest of this week or any time of the year, honestly, if you're not on Twitter, if you're on Twitter at Jorge B. Edwards, you can get JT at JT Orange. For me, if you aren't on Twitter and you're on YouTube watching this and you're like, well, I still want to get a hand, you can contact me at Jorge, Jorge, at fantasyandframes.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions via email also. But anyhow, yeah, he is so not, at the end of the day, like I said, right place, right time, horrible production. And I'd rather go for the ceiling play than go for the guy who metric wise should be doing something, but performance wise is not. Who's your DB?
I agree there. I'm going back to the well. Like I told you, I have this issue where I get stuck on certain games. And maybe this is me just playing hater because he just absolutely screwed me in Fantasy and Frames League, which I was dominant in all year, 26-2, number 1 seed. I lost in the semis.
Right.
Oh, Nick Cross. Man. Dude. I lost by 3 points to Kyle. Even Kyle, I think he reversed jinxed me because he's like, I'm rooting for Justin too. He's like, I'm rooting for JT because I need Jonathan in a bunch of leagues. So I'm rooting for you too, man, because he was like, I need JT to have a big game. Nick Cross projected for 13 points, got me 7.5. I lost by 3. Really angry about that. Really, really angry about that. Also, was it totally his fault? Travion Henderson going out with a concussion early, only getting me 2.2 points, absolutely buried me. But Kyle beat me, and Kyle's in there. Kyle's like, yep, got me. So Kyle took me out after my 26-2 reign, and only 7 points out of Nick Cross. So I'm angry at Nick Cross. So let's look at Nick Cross, right? Nick Cross was like the enigma last year, came out of nowhere, was like a top DB IDP. Love Nick Cross. I've been holding him in a million leagues. I just told people, like, he's 20. He's Maryland, Jorge, shout out. 20 when he came in the league and knew it was just going to take a little bit of time for him to get it together. He finally got the full-time box safety role, which is his job. That's him. He's athletic as shit, but like he can't cover deep. That's who he was. So when they had Blackman, they were kind of switching back and forth, right? A long ramble. I apologize, people. It's been a long time since we've been the last show, and I'm allowed to go on rambles. So I'm rambling here for a bit. Cross, the last Nick Cross, for everything where you drafted him, for where he was ranked coming in the season as a DB. This is for people like Gary, who hates DBs and says don't ever draft them. This is one of the examples of why you're angry when you draft a DB high. Nick Cross was an absolute beast last year, probably won you an IDP league. Oh, man, since week 8, let's break this down. He had 2 double-digit performances on fantasy scoring since week 8. This is a guy who is supposed to be a top 5 DB every week. He's only finished as a top 20 DB, with 2 of those being 19, 18, and the last one 13th in that 8-game stretch. So only 2 double-digit performances, only 3 top 20 finishes as a DB. Nick Cross has not been great for you. You're probably starting him. Like, again, you're probably starting him this week. But, man, I tell you what, I'm definitely considering starting someone else if I have anyone even close to there, because his production just hasn't been there. And, again, I'm mad because him and JT, 2 of my guys for the Colts Monday night, I was looking to get into the championship game, say, hey, my Colts players saved me, and they didn't, and I lost by 3 points. I honestly didn't even look at the score until this morning because I had a feeling, and I just didn't want to just totally ruin my night coming home from the game. So, like, I was those people, like, I, like, slow rolled the scores. I was like that person on my phone, like, just really slowly going through this morning when I woke up, because I was like, I knew I had so many close performances to get in the championship game, and I was like, I didn't want to look at it last night and be angry around my girlfriend and my friends that went to the game. They're Niners fans, so they were cheering, so they were happy. I didn't want to be the guy that ruined it for everyone, as I'm a dick.
That's very considerate of you. Yeah.
Throwing things around because I lost in fantasy. So I looked at this morning when I was the only person in the house and I could yell without upsetting anyone. So that's what I did this morning. But yeah, Nick Cross, I'm out on him because of that reason. Kyle, congratulations. Oh, one of my more dominant fantasy seasons. I don't even make the championship. 26-2, Jorge. 26-2. I rebuilt a team that didn't even make the playoffs when I took this team over. 26-2, and my only 2 losses, I was the number 2 scoring team, and I lost the number 1 scoring team, were my only 2 losses all year. Nate Markham knocked me off from my undefeated season when he scored number 1 points. I scored number 2. I can't remember who beat me in the other game, but they were number 1, and I was number 2 in scoring, and I don't even make the championship game. Have to say that one hurts more than a lot of other bad losses I've taken in my life. That one hurts a lot. I thought I should have won this thing.
And Kyle rubbing in the salt in the wound. I really didn't want to win, but I still won in my other league. Shut up, Kyle. I mean,
that's always the opposite of me. So Kyle's like, I need JT to score enough points that I win in this league, so I don't mind if I lose the other league, because, and then always the opposite happens for me. They score just enough to make me lose in the other league that I'm going against someone, but they don't score enough to make me win my league. So I take the double loss. Kyle's on the other side, like, double win for me. Okay. Very nice for you, Kyle. BS.
So what you all just witnessed was the airing of grievances from JT in full Festivus mode.
It is Festivus. I had to do it. I told you I was going to hold it to the end of the show.
Well,
I told you I was going to not do it at the beginning of the show. I held out as long as I could, but it was starting to get inside here. I was getting angry. I had to.
You know what? Like we said on the show last night when Stacey Perez on the Waiver Wire Watch Party, she went on this epic anti-Chicago Bears rant, her being a Packers fan. So I said to her, and I'll say it to you, you got hate in your heart, let it out. You don't want that being corrosive on the inside. Anywho, going over our fades at defensive lineman, mine, George Karlaftis, JT's, Trayvon Walker. At linebacker for me, Logan Wilson, JT's, Devin Lloyd. And then rounding out defensive back fades, Grant Delpit and Nick Cross. So those are our plays and fades for week 17. If you want some more IDP plays and fades where we give you ceiling, floor, and base level, if you want to call it that, safe plays at IDP at DL, LB, and DB. Joe Harlow, who, folks, you all really need to start following Joe Harlow on Twitter at JOE Harlow, HARLOW 63. You can read his work at fantasyandframes.com. Puts so much effort into these articles, and he knows this stuff. And so his article will be coming out tomorrow for our plays and fades for week 17. So tune into that. Okay. So that's going to wrap us up for plays and fades. Let's finish off the show with our last sack lunch of the season. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I will be taking a pie in the face when we do our What Have We Learned in IDP in 2025 episode, not next week, but the week after. So it's just a matter of picking the right one. Like, I don't want to do like a berry kind where it's the staining on the staining on the carpet. It's not, there's carpet here, so it's going to be extra awesome cleaning that up afterwards. So I'm thinking some type of like pudding based pie, some like mousse, like chocolate mousse. I don't know. There's plans are in the works, and you know what?
You gotta have something a little heavier, a little sticky, so it doesn't all just run to the floor. That's a pro move. You don't want the wife getting upset when the carpet is ruined because you picked blueberry pie and it dripped everywhere and turned your carpet purple. So that's a smart move, Jorge. You got to go with some kind of banana cream pie, chocolate mousse, something that's a little more sticky, easier to clean up, I think.
No, I think good calls. So for those who are unaware or just catching on, so we have this game called Sack Lunch, and so the premise is we are allowed to choose a player one time throughout the season. We're predicting they have a sack. If it's a defensive lineman, you get a point per sack they tally. If it's an off-ball linebacker, you get 2 bonus points on top of the sack number. And then if it's a defensive back, you get 3 points on top of the sack number. So I am going to swing for the fences. Chase Young, you're my guy. Get multiple sacks. Please make this less painful. JT, who is your sack lunch player for week 17?
Before I say who I'm picking this week, I think it clinched it for me not getting last place. Last week was my Greg Rousseau play, 2.5 sacks against Cleveland for the Bills. That was a big one for me, kept me out of last place there. So, Greg Rousseau, appreciate you, even though I butcher his name every week, because every time I look at it, it makes my mind go crazy, and I feel like I say it wrong.
No, you did it right. You did good.
Appreciate for him for coming through with 2.5 sacks for me last week. Was my big sack lunch play, so I love it. I was looking back through, and I could be wrong, Jorge. I don't think I've taken Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions this year, which shocked me. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I was kind of looking through, trying to pay attention. So if so, I kind of feel terrible. I haven't taken him all year. So Aiden Hutchinson, my guy. If for some reason we find out that I have already taken him, which I don't think I have, but I've been looking at the list, I'm going to go Zach Seiler for the Dolphins if I have not taken Hutchinson. I do not think I've taken Hutchinson this year, but I'm going to get a caveat because I don't want anybody to think I'm cheating in case I did already take him this year. I don't think I have.
Well, that's very
because I think the couple times I was going to take him, the time I was going to take him, somebody else took him, and I didn't want to double up. So I took someone else instead. So I think he's out there for me.
All right, I will make sure to go through the tail of the tape and get that all tallied up for us. We got 3P1C fail, aka Epic Fail, in the chat. I didn't know Shoot the Gap was today. Yeah, we had to change schedules just because of obviously Christmas Eve tomorrow, so we did a little early show. And for everybody who's tuning in as we're winding down, head over to our YouTube, Fantasy and Frames. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, watch the episode. If you don't have time to watch it, but you have time to listen to it tomorrow, the podcast version of this, whether you listen on Spotify or Apple, will be available. Look for the Shoot the Gap podcast, and this episode will be ready to go. Man, JT, it's funny. All last year is you and I. Then we brought on Steve and Gary, and it's only fitting that we wrap up 2025 like we did 2024 together. And I know we have the year in review show coming up in a couple of weeks, but man, it is always a pleasure sharing the screen with you and doing some IDP podcasting, my friend.
I appreciate it. It's been a fun year again. Man, a lot of good comments, a lot of good questions this year. Like I told you, I felt like we were locked in with our viewers this year. I felt like every time somebody had a start sit question, it was like guys that we had on the list to talk about, people that we were like already locked in on and that we wanted to talk about anyway. So I feel like we're all kind of one there. But IDP, if you haven't played it, go out, give it a shot. If you play it and you like it, talk your friends into playing it. I had some friends that never played IDP. I've only had one person, I say this all the time, I've only had one person ever play IDP and not like it, and it was John McGlynn, which is crazy. But then I also got him into college football, and he loves college football. So I'm like, I'll take a 50-50. He loves the college football one, doesn't like IDP. He's like, it's too much for me. I can't figure it out. But everyone else I've gotten into IDP loves it. My IDP home leagues that I run, it's everybody across the board says it's their favorite league. It's their most fun league because there's so many ways to win in an IDP. You don't have to if you don't have Christian McCaffrey or you don't have Jonathan Taylor, that doesn't mean you're not going to win the league. If you're loaded on defense, there's just so many more builds. That's where I like it. Plus individual guys, nothing is better than when your team is on defense. The other team, you're like, I'm losing. I need a sack or a tackle or a pick. And that happens and you win. It's amazing. It's such a good feeling to get that sack at the end of the game or the guy gets that tackle and you're like, oh, yes. It's so awesome. So if you get a chance, play IDP. We'll obviously in the offseason do, which is one of my favorite shows, we do like a breaking down, like how do you run an IDP league? Yeah. How do you set it up? So make sure if you haven't been in a league or you want to, we'll do that in the off season. It's always one of my favorite shows, just kind of breaking down how's the best way to go scoring wise, different things. I think that's what always is the one thing that frustrates people. They're just not 100% sure how I go about IDP. Right. And the nice thing is you can go about it a lot of ways, which is awesome. It's free reign. So Jorge, another great year. Thanks. I'm really pissed. I'm sorry about not making a stream for Gaming Fantasy and Frames IDP League. Real mad about it. Also mad that I missed out in my other contract league, but I did absolutely smoke in my home league. IDP, my number one first IDP league I've ever started, ever played in. We've been going on a little over a decade now. Nice. I've never won my own home league. I have the number one record in over 10 years of this league. And I've never won the championship. I've got another shot this week. I'm in the title game. I need to get a win. I got to get my name on this trophy. See this big trophy right here behind me? This is our IDP League home league trophy. My name is not on there. My name's on there for losing the championship a couple times. I needed to win. I need to win.
There you go.
So everybody else who has never won their home league or has not won a championship in IDP, I hope you go out there and get it this week because I need one. I got to get a win.
Amen. You couldn't have said that any better. One question for Epic Fail. Hold Servassier Dennis or pick up James Williams? That's a tough question because we don't know if Cedric Gray is going to be in or out. Obviously, if Gray is playing, then James Williams is kind of, to the wayside. So I would hold with Servassier Dennis, although I'm not super thrilled about his potential this week as an IDP start. And then Kyle says here,
Dennis is a tough one. He had a good game last week, but he's been not good. Like I sat him in every league, and he had a monster performance last week. So
naturally, that's how it happens.
Yeah, he's a tough one.
He built his 32-team dynasty around defense. Everyone calls my team the 85 Bears. That's funny. And then we got Crypto Life Bags. Merry Christmas to both of you. Merry Christmas to y'all. Seriously, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, we'll be off next week.
Jorge, one last thing. Crypto
Yeah.
asked, he said, college league, IDP, what? Fantrax. You can get on Fantrax. They have a college side. You can do CFF or you can do C2C, which is campus to Canton, college and NFL team. I'm in a couple that have IDP college players. So if you want to get in, that's a whole other ball game. But it's awesome. Get a hold of me at JT Orange. I can answer questions for you on that, as I'm in a couple leagues that do college IDP as well, which is pretty sweet.
Nice. All right, folks, we'll be back in 2 weeks for what we learned in IDP in 2025. And then after a short hiatus, back in February, will be prospect season, startup season, you name it, everything Dynasty, IDP related. We do have a separate Dynasty show, Dynasty 365, which covers more of the offensive side of the ball, but we'll be handling all things IDP, Redraft, and Dynasty here on Shoot the Gap. So for JT, for Gary, for Steve, for myself, all of us that have been here just having a blast, talking shop with you all, have a safe and happy holiday, happy new year, and we'll see you on the other side on 2026.